We love Mario Kart, don't we, guys? We love Mario Kart. It's something I usually like to say a lot. I always have to add a little bit of an asterisk, which is I love Mario Kart, except Mario Kart 64 because that's the only one I haven't played. But I've decided to rectify that. I've decided to rectify that using the expansion pass on the Nintendo Switch Online, and I've given Mario Kart 64 its rightful day in court. So, how does it fare? Let's find out in the best way I know how. That is with a tier list or two. I have one for the racetracks and one, as always, for the soundtrack. But let's start right away with the first track in the game, Luigi Raceway. Luigi coming at you again with the first track in the game. He's had a couple of stinkers, I'm not gonna lie, but he's had a couple of classics too. I'll let you interpret what I mean by that yourself in the chat. I'll let you argue between yourselves. It's true, you never do start with your best track, but you also want the track to be able to do something. And to give Luigi's Raceway its medals, it does do a good job of teaching you how to drift. And Lord knows you're gonna learn how to drift if you want to survive on this godforsaken game, and you're gonna want to get used to it real quick. But as a beginner track, it just does the, even by beginner track standards, I think it just does the job and doesn't do much else. It does have a really nice one cool thing about it, which in the 64 version, which is, oh, you can see actually right here, right up here, there's a Luigi balloon drops an item, and if you pick it up, you actually get a spiny shell. Pretty useless if you're in first, but I guess if you're doing the blue yourself challenge, you can do that. But all in all, I think its placement is gonna reflect that. I think it's just in C and nothing. It's probably the easiest C tier I'll ever have to make. But as for the music though, what do we think about the classic Raceway theme? The melody. It was a theme so nice, they used it not twice, not thrice, but they used it 4 times. It is quite nice. If you noticed, like, if you got a stereo speaker thing, you can hear, like, it bounces between both of your ears, this part here. Which is a nice touch, I guess. But I don't think it does enough to go away from where I put it in every other rendition, which has already been, which is B. It's a cheeky little bop, a cheeky little bop. What are you guys thinking though? A lot of you guys are saying A tier and S. I don't think it does quite enough to get up there, but I'll leave it in B. I'll leave it in B and call it a night. What is next though? We're gonna call it a day in the farm. We're gonna work quite hard in the farm today. Point something interesting about Mr. Weebo's all 64 Mario Kart courses video is that he did a mistake that I made a lot of, which is you might not be able to hear the music. Oh, now it kicked in. Because the drift button is right next to a button which you can use to remove the music. I don't know why you'd want to do that if the music's annoying you that much. The multi-moles kind of cut off the most inner route that you'd want to use to get around the stage as quick as possible. So you could drive around the outside and remain safe, but you could go around the shorter path but risk the multi-moles. And from my playing of the game over the last week, taking the multi-mole path is actually quite risky. So there's actually a nice element of risk and reward there. And then you got these pillars at the end here, which they're not the most compelling hazard, but when you're learning how to drift and you're learning how to drive through its very slippery controls, even just some pillars at the end of a track can be enough to like make you shake in your boots a little. So it's got beginner track syndrome written all over it, but for a beginner track it isn't offensive neither. I'm probably not going to spend too many time playing this, but it's okay. It's just okay. I'm just trying to talk, goddammit, right? I don't really have much to say, but I'm just gonna leave it and see and call it a day as well. What about the music though? The music is quite catchy, isn't it? The banjo man, really working for his pay grade, isn't he? When the Whistle Man was still employed by Nintendo before they gruesomely cut him out in Mario Kart 8. I love the music. Solid track is a solid CLB. Gotta love the banjo man. Respect to the banjo man. Good enough to get a spot alongside Luigi Raceway, I would say. It's a cheeky little bop. The music isn't disappointing so far, but there hasn't been a track that's really drawn my ire. Is Koopa Troopa Beach going to be that? What do you think about Koopa Troopa Beach? I think for a theme that doesn't really tend to shine a lot of the time, there's something about Koopa Troopa I kind of like. I don't know what it is. It's simple. It has these like weird ramps which if you get a mushroom, you can boost up and get an item there, but with the slipperiness of the control, like, Lord knows you're not going to be able to drift on it. I really like this bit as well, which is like you kind of have to risk drowning in the water or slowing down the water if the tide is low or the tide is high. It's simple, but I think the beach aesthetic is also helping with the way the track is designed, which is quite nice. There's just something about it. I don't know if I can pinpoint it exactly. And of course, if you take the lower path, you risk hitting the crabs too, which is really nice. Oh, what it is? The big ramps are cool. I love the shortcut ramp especially. The shortcut ramp is really interesting. I think it harkens back to like an old style of level design. I don't think a shortcut like this exists in modern Mario Kart, because modern Mario Kart tries to design its tracks to be a bit more fair with the shortcuts. But I think this is a massive shortcut if you take it. I think even in the 7 version, this shortcut, like, this one doesn't exist. I think there's a shortcut up there instead. If I'm not mistaken, I could be correct. Please correct me on this. But I think this shortcut over here doesn't exist. Like, they replaced the hole to be a bit further, so the shortcut isn't as ridiculous. But ridiculous shortcuts is what I grew up with, and I quite like that. I quite like, honestly. I wish I could articulate myself better, but there's something about Koopa Troopa Beach that not even necessarily by beginner track standards, by just track standards, that I quite like. Not enough to get higher than a B. But it's fun. It's fun. That's all it is. And that's all it really needs to be. But what about the music, though? Does the music also reflect how I feel? If you've heard me talk about this in, what was it, Mario Kart 7, if I'm not mistaken, you already know exactly how I feel, which is, again, beach music tends to be a bit hit or miss for me, but there's just something about the strings constantly in the background, the steel drum, the flute that comes in every now and again. There's just something about, like, the ensemble cast that they use here, which is really, really good. No. And the flute comes again. It's just got the right combination to really get me, you know? Are insistent that it's just generic beach music. I'm not going to argue with you. I really am not. But I really think it's this combination of the steel drum and like the strings that are constantly in the background, the beat that's like just really catchy. There's just something about it that has. I wish I could articulate myself better. I'm usually good at that, but I think this is going to go in. This is going B as well. I think this goes in B as well. I don't think it's just enough to sneak into A, but by beach music standards, this is really, really good, because some of them tend to be a bit like, especially if we're talking like Cheap Lagoon, they can be a bit like, you know, there's just something about it, isn't it, chat? The music just love it. It sets a good mood, even for being just a typical beach track. Yeah, honestly, it's a music I'd use if I was to ever drive on a nice beach. Beachy track, beachy vibe, beachy music. There's a play at every beach. I like this, like, it's a relaxing vibe of a tropical. It really fits the vibe of beach music. It fits it while also being a bit of an earworm, just a bit. Not the same kind of earworm as Moo Moo Farmz, but earworm nonetheless. I've talked enough about Koopa Troopa Beach. Does Kalimari Desert get the same amount of love? Listen, I'm just saying, Kalimari fans, if you want to step out the stream for a minute, if you want to grab a drink, by all means. Not going to be very nice to this track. It's solely due to the one main gimmick that the track has, which is the train. I do not understand who thought this gimmick was a good idea. The whole idea is just you wait for the train to go and then you just keep driving, which, especially at the beginning, everyone's just waiting. Everyone's just waiting. And then Toad does his iconic Toad scream while we wait. It is just not a very compelling gimmick in the slightest. Even the AI doesn't like this track that much, because Wario over here is just not having a fun time, is he? He's just going for a flip and a half, mate. See you later. I don't think it works well as a gimmick, or the way that they probably intended. I like to imagine they intended it to be one of those things where, like, if the first person's maybe front running too much, it can like stop them and get the rest of them catch up, or it could be a nice way to like or maybe like the thrill of like the train coming and just avoiding it would be quite fun. But I think more often than not, it just ends up being a bit annoying, like more annoying than it is compelling. I haven't even mentioned that it's a desert track. It's just, so the theme itself has a lot of catching up to do. But even then in the second lap, the train does nothing. He's already passed the train here. This Yoshi's in first place. They're already gone. So all this train is going to do now is going to come back around and maybe disturb the 6th, 7th, and 8th person. And then what? Like, you just made the 6th, 7th, and 8th person, you've punished them for just, what, getting hit by items? Like, it just, as a concept, it just doesn't work. I don't necessarily mind the train. It can work, which is what they've done in the BCP. The train can work, but in its original incarnation and when they remade it in 7, it just doesn't work as a gimmick. Not to mention, desert track, boring as hell, 0 background, 0 bitches, 0 ratings on my tier list. Send him home. And then 64, more like N60 flop. D tier because I like threading the gap. How often are you threading the gap though? I don't mind that you said that, but I don't think you can regularly thread the gap enough to be compelling. You can thread the gap in the Maple Treeway Wigglers enough times where that hazard can be compelling. With the train, I just don't think so. At least in the amount of times I've played it in 7, in 8DX, well, not in 8DX, it's not really the same hazard, but in 7 and replaying this, it just hasn't done its gimmick right in the same way that, and 8's remixed in a way that makes perfect sense. So I just don't really care for it. Music at least saved this track. What is that melody? Not that one. That one's great. What is this one? I like that, but then as I mentioned when I talked about this in Mario Kart 7, it's just a that I like, and then everything else can just get in the bin as far as I'm concerned. One flute does not a good music make. Failure, as far as I'm concerned. The train doesn't work, even if there's 2 of them, as some of you mentioned. And the music, I've been nice to it in the past, but you're not getting away from me this time, okay? So I've had enough. I've had enough of being nice. I'm mean Sir Musty now. Is mean Sir Musty gonna rate Toad Turnpike harshly? Now, this is where the chat, if they don't know, they're gonna get mad at me. If you do know, you're gonna get mad at me again. Because I made the apparently controversial take before of saying that Moonview Highway basically just stole Toad Turnpike's gimmick and did it way worse. When I said that, I was mainly referring to the 8 rendition of Toad Turnpike, which I think does the whole gimmick of a crowded city highway sort of thing quite well. But when I played this version, I was expecting to feel the same way, and I was bitterly disappointed. And it's because of this part right here. I'm glad the timing was perfect. It's this part right here. It's the part where the track converges from 3-lane to 2-lane, and this Pete just perfectly summed up my problem I have with this track here. The thing I loved about the 8 Deluxe version was that while there were loads of cars, there were loads of lanes, and there was even a side lane with anti-grav, so you can even avoid the cars entirely. So while there were loads of cars, there were loads of options to like try and navigate them. If you risk the brunt of the cars, the brunt of the traffic, you could get a faster path. But if you fancied chilling out a bit, you could go off to the side, get a boost, and then take the safer path. But when it comes to this, the original version doesn't do that. It goes from 3-lane, which I think is wide enough by 64 standards, to a 2-lane, which leads to situations like this that can happen. And with the slipperiness of the controls, this gap might seem huge, which it might be, but with the slipperiness of the controls that 64 has, with the relative placement of this track cup-wise, I don't think a gimmick like this is very fair. I just don't think so. Even you see this button, they're only just about, because they just wiggled in. Like the fact that can even happen when a track's so compact, it's just, I don't really think that's very nice. I do like the fact that the pit stops, like the hard shoulder, has all the items. That is a nice touch. The sunset vibe is quite nice. It feels like you're driving out in the middle of the night. But I don't think it has the same thing going for it that I liked in 8 Deluxe so much, which you might think is unfair that I'm comparing it to its later contemporary, but as I mentioned in the beginning, the later contemporaries are all that I played before playing this, so I can't help but compare them in my mind. And the one thing I liked about Turnpike in the future game is not something that works for me personally in this game. Even now, with 3 lanes of traffic skipping in between 2 cars, I think it's fair. I think asking that of a person is fair with the slipperiness of the controls. With 2 lanes, I don't think so. And while I think I'd put it in B in the 8 Deluxe rendition, I just don't like this version at all. Not to mention the rubber banding that can happen in this game, which is really unfair as well. It doesn't matter how well you navigate between the cars. Even if you've mastered the game design, the CPUs will always be one step behind you. So, which makes it very unsatisfying to even master this track in the first place. But what do you think? I know this is very controversial. I think the challenge is a great addition in my opinion. I don't necessarily mind the challenge, but I think for a track in Flower Cup, I think the cars can just like align themselves to be a bit unfair. It's the fact that it's random. That's what I don't like. If the track naturally had a gimmick where you had to thread the needle between, let's say those 2 parts cars, you had to thread the needle between 2 cars, then it's like a standard gimmick that like you'd have to get used to. The fact that you can just be driving and the variance of the difficulty can depend on whether the cars want to be nice to you. Sometimes the track could be very easy if the cars are just like one after the other really nicely. It's very easy. It's very unsatisfying. You're like, what the hell? But then like if they're all squeezed together, the track is a lot harder than it needs to be. And I think that level of variance in a Flower Cup track, I don't really think works too well, at least not for me. I think this music is probably more memorable for me because like this Toad Turnpike bit has been referenced in so many other tracks. I think Inferno probably summed up the way I did. I think with the kind of vibe they're going for, which like this kind of feels really chill, and the sunset like kind of makes it like it's a chill sunset-y drive, right? But I don't think that how intense the track can be that doesn't necessarily match it, if that makes sense. But what do you guys think? I'm glad other people got that feeling as well. I don't think it fits. I don't think it fits very well, but it's nice, right? It's very nice. Cherry's insistent on a detail lol as well. A detail lol. Laughing, smuckling. That's a combination of smug and chuckling. Smuckling in my live chat. Unreal. I'm gonna leave it empty. What after you drive in this lovely sunset, where do you end up? You end up in the frozen tundras of Alaska, otherwise known as Mcfrappe fucking Snowland. Do you know what, actually? Do you know what? I put this in the F tier when it was remade in Mario Kart Deluxe, right? It's a nice track, okay, so it's not gonna get any plaudits from me. This bit here with the snowmen, tumbling for a long time if you hit any of these snowballs. Plus the fact that, like, they pop in out of nowhere. Like, you'll notice, like, once you turn this corner, they're not there. Like, you can see one, and then they all pop into existence. I remember the first, I've kind of got jump scared the first time I played this, because I saw, like, oh, there's one snowball that, they're just appearing out of nowhere. They're just... Go around here, like over to the right over there. You can go around to avoid the snowman disaster, or you can risk it by slaloming in between. And then, of course, you got the walls, the dreaded walls. You can really tell this game is not really the best when I'm arguing. Does a track still belong in F, or does it hover up to the bottom of D? I'll put it in D. By the standards of this game, it's not Kalimari, at least the gimmicks work. That's what I'm asking for at this point. I'm just asking if the gimmicks work. But what about the music, though? The music, we're not gonna argue about the music, are we? I'm seeing a lot of people are not too happy about my placement of Mcfrappe Snowland. Are we really gonna argue about this? Are you guys really gonna argue with me about this? See, part of me wants to be really nice because there's some of you guys that are just like, this is great, man, Musty, this is great. And I'm trying to hear what you're hearing. But you know what? I'm not going to hear what you're hearing. I think that your opinion is bad and you serve zero purpose. I'm about to go low tier god rant mode if you guys tell me that. It's just... Oh, it's just boring. It's boring. I'm gonna leave it there. I don't care. It's at least give it. You know what, Eggy 399. You know what? You're right. You're right. Yeah, I think F is fair. I don't know what. Okay. Is it the worst sounding music? No. But the reason I put Kalimari in F is because it just doesn't do anything and it doesn't make me feel anything and it's just not really that compelling to listen to. It's got one thing that I think is interesting, which is the flute, and that was it. Mcfrappe Snowland just feels like you got some... It feels like you just got some jingle bells, you got like a really basic string melody, and you just called it a day. That's all you did, all right? Now, if I feel like I could compose music that's better, that should be a crime against nature. Because Lord knows no one's ever going to put me in GarageBand, okay? No one's going to put me in fucking FL Studio, where the fuck you used to make music. No one ever wants me to download that, because I'll make the worst beats known to mankind. I'm sorry, Kenta. I hope you're living your best life, but Mcfrappe Snowland wasn't one of them, okay? What the hell? Hey, old man, that's actually a good track.
I'm 37, I'm not old.
Moving swiftly on, let's go to Chocolate Mountain. What do we think about Chocolate Mountain? I'm using its full government name. The rockfall part is quite interesting. I do like, okay, I think I remember, was it Cherry? I think Cherry said this in the Discord. Cherry said this, and I actually fundamentally disagree. Old Mario Kart used to do this thing, right? They used to do this really, really cool thing where you could actually fall down off this bit and have to redo the whole thing again. I think Cherry was saying that Lakeside, was it Lakeside? It's Lakeside Park. Lakeside Park in GBA does this as well. You fall off, that's kind of your own fault. And you might say, Musty, come on, are you really gonna say skill issue on a baby game? And you know what, I actually will, mainly because if you play this track in 50cc like I did, they've actually gated off this area. So the first time you're most likely to play this Mario Kart game, which is usually on 50cc, this bit will be gated off, so you won't be able to fall off. But on the harder CCs, to make it a bit harder and more compelling, they let it so that you can just fall right the hell off. I think that's quite interesting. It makes for, especially if you're doing a multiplayer, it makes for an interesting gimmick where you can like push people off that side. When it comes to like falling off a part and having to redo the bit as opposed to Likiti getting you up, I like those kinds of gimmicks in my Mario Kart. And Chocolate Mountain has that. I like it. I feel like in a normal Mario Kart game, you'd like bonk into this cliff and just like fall down or just slip down. But like in this game, you tumble over and slow right the hell down, which makes this ending bit a bit more compelling as well, because it means that like you have to make sure you align yourself. You can't veer off to the side like this person's doing here. Whereas a later Mario Kart might not punish you for that. You might not be able to do tricks, but you do have to keep your footing. Chocolate Mountain, I'm going to keep full naming it. Chocolate Mountain doesn't do anything too crazy, but it is interesting enough to not put it in the bowels of the bottom. I'm going to leave it in C because of that. Imagine that, 7 tracks in and there's only 1 B tier. What is going on? Wow, this game's something. Oh, it's the music. Sorry, it's the music. The music of Chocolate Island. It's catchy. Mario 64, I don't know what it is about this fucking game, man. They've just got earworm after earworm. I don't get it. I don't get what's wrong with this game, man. Like, am I putting any of these in my playlist? No. But to race on a Mario Kart game? Hey, it's catchy. Thank God, thank God. As a kid, I would sing Choco Mountain is so awesome to the melody. Does that work? Let's try it. Let's try it. Choco Mountain so awesome. Choco Mountain so flawless. You can fall off the side like it won't save you. That's what Choco Mountain is awesome. You know what? I think that makes it a bit better. I'm not gonna lie. It's good. It's another earworm. I should just rename this earworm tier. Honestly, I'm gonna do that right now. You guys are too nice. You guys are too nice. But thank you. I appreciate that. Are we gonna appreciate the next? Just a fucking. I want to be nice to you, Mario Kart 64. I really do. But why are there so many circuit tracks? Why don't you end your flower cup with a circuit track? But does this one even... I think I rated it a bit maybe in B in the Wii version, and my reasoning for the Wii version is that the Wii, since Wii was the first time they included 12 races, they had to make the track slightly wider to account for it. But in Mario Raceway, I think the track is obviously designed for 8 people, so the track had to be a bit smaller, which makes it a bit more intimate. So I think it works better. In combination with inside drifting, making U-turns a bit more interesting to do, I think it is a bit better in Wii. I think it's more at home in the Wii version, whereas in the original, I'm just like, it's just not enough. Now, Wario Stadium is the most interesting one. I was really, really excited to play this track, because if you guys don't know, this is the only track that has not been remade for a future Mario Kart game. They've done 15 out of 16 of the tracks in this game, except Wario Stadium. Now, is this like a certified classic that's just not been given its time of day? Or has this track been rendered obsolete by a DS version of the same name?
Old and busted, new hotness.
There's another track I'm going to talk about this later, so this is a call forward, right? One thing I actually really like about 64 is, since the controls are really, really slippery, I like it when they make shortening the track a method of increasing difficulty, because it means that like you have to be really, really good at their controls and master it in such a way to be able to do it. Having the start of a Star Cup track, look how wide this is. Just look how wide. This is 2 musties wide. Let's look at this track, guys. It's 2 musties wide. You could fit a second musty onto this screen and you still wouldn't be able to film. And I'm a large man. They were on to nothing when they made this. They really were. The only thing on this stage, even the slightly well, is the ending bit is quite a satisfying U-turn. I really like this U-turn. Sorry, I skipped it. This U-turn at the end is actually really, really satisfying to do. This one, you have to make one big U-turn. I don't know. Having a U-turn that wide is there's something about that. It's quite nice. If I really, really had to do compliments, another compliment, I do like the fact that since this was like early into Wario's like debut into the Mario series. The artwork on the track is more based off his appearance in Super Mario Bros. 2: The Six Golden Coins. Like the new Wario looks like he would catcall a woman across the street. This Wario looks like he'd fucking shank you if you looked at him funny. If I had to give the track another compliment, that's all I'm going for, okay? That is it, and I'm gonna leave it in F tier. But I'm gonna feel just as compellingly mad about the next track. Sherbet Land. Yeah, do you know what's better than one ice track? Two. But if I'm going to give a compliment to the stage, I actually really do like the bit inside the cave here. This final turn, make it like a snap decision. These penguins hit, they're 180 across from each other. So if one penguin is here, the other penguin's here. If one penguin's here, the other's here. So they rotate around each other perfectly. So if you see this penguin here, you know the other one is going to round the corner. So you can like take that into your turn accordingly. I actually really like, it's a subtle way of telegraphing where an enemy is so you can avoid them. And if the enemy is not where you want them to be at the right time, you could always take an outer drift. It'll be slower, but it'll be safer. Like, for example, like he takes a knock here because I don't think he bumps into the wall and doesn't notice it. I actually really like that. I think it's quite nice. Does it save it from the bowels of F tier? Absolutely not.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Woyal Waceway. I actually quite like this one. Finally, some good fucking food. They insisted on making a third circuit track. But I think this is where they hit the big time. This is actually where they hit the big time. They've used the gimmick of making the track smaller to make it a bit more difficult. It's a lot more intimate. Now, do you know how I explained in Choco Mountain that the cliff system, like if you're on an incline and you try to drive up, you tumble down. Like cliffs, when you see like an incline, the game is saying no. No. We don't want you on that incline. Most of the time in a Mario Kart game, the punishment for going off track is just being slowed down. If you were to fall off this section, you end up just tumbling over, which makes a very interesting way of like punishing the player for not staying on the track. It's the game's way of saying, if at this point you have not mastered the controls, go fuck yourself. And I respect that a lot. I really do. Because there's a turn at the end that's also extremely punishing as well. So once you do the big jump, if you take it too wide, you're not falling into the grass here. The second turn punishes you even harder if you fail it. Instead of going off course, you end up tumbling right over. So there's two instances in this track where if you don't turn right, you just tumble straight over, and the game just doesn't care. I like Racetrack. Let's get drifty. Let's get drifty. That's what I'm saying. We can be royal. This is where the boys become men, honestly. But is Bowser Castle music to your ears, gamers? When you see this startup screen, are you excited to play this track? Controversially, when I reviewed this track in Mario Kart Wii, I didn't rate it that highly. I just didn't think it was that interesting. Does the original version fare any better? One thing I was very curious about when I started playing this is the Thwomp in jail? And he is in fact in jail, gamers. You can see him. He is right there. What he's been jailed for. You could tell me the sentence in the chat. You know, my man got the full like mugshot. Turn to the left treatment. Free my guy Thwomp, man. He deserves better. I think it's a gimmick that wasn't brought forward into any other Mario Kart game. But I like the fact that if you bump into the Thwomp at far enough speeds, you just bounce back and spin out. So it makes it even hot, like more punishing. And again, for a track at the finale of Star Cup, I think you can get away with being that little level of punishing. But he touches it, and then boom. You got spun out. I was gonna say this track feels a bit uninspiring. I was literally just about to say that. Do you know what happened, guys? Do you know what happened? This artwork here, he duplicated it 4 more times and put it all around. Honestly, I have to give him props for the vanity. I really do. It doesn't really feel like a Bowser castle, if that makes sense. It just kind of looks like just a castle. And he has a nice garden, to be fair, but it's possible the kind of guy who'd have a nice garden in his back garden. I don't know, these shrubs, does it look like he'd maintain these? I thought it was banned in a Wii version, and that was relative to the other tracks in the game. I think it goes into B, honestly. Because while it isn't like a game design masterclass, I think to race on in the 64 version is very fun. But what are we going to do about the music, though, guys? What are we going to do about the music? Did you know, gaming here, did you know that Bowser Castle is actually just like a slowed down version of Maple Treeway? Did you guys know that? No way! I do have to give it props for being ominous. It does a good job at doing that. But I think just as a music to listen to, I think the game just kind of sums up perfectly, you know what I mean? Like, this track makes me feel like I'm in Bowser Castle. But is it really good as a piece of music as a whole? I don't really think so, if I'm being honest. I like this song for what it is. Not everything has to bop. Well, it's true, but it also has to be compelling. But when you're playing a Mario Kart game, like a fast-paced, item-based, like racing with your friends, you want it to fit the theme, but also be like a bop at the same time. I think you need to tick both boxes in a way. Now, while it fits Bowser Castle, it just doesn't do anything for me. But I think even like the Double Dash version does a good job of being ominous, but also compelling to listen to as a piece of music. It just doesn't. It doesn't do much. It doesn't do much for me. I'm gonna be honest. Oh, I'm so used to Bowser Castle being followed by Rainbow Road, but no, we got a whole other cup to go. I forgot. Then we get to the Valley of the Yoshis. I know this is because of N64 limitations. I really like the fact that you can't see where anyone is. I think for a track as maze-like and confusing, it works. It really works. There's these hazards as well. These little porcupine motherfuckers just like rustling around on the track. Never seen these guys before. They kept bothering me when I was playing this, honestly. I'm seeing a lot of you guys in the chat. A lot of yous goated. S tier. S tier for simply beating the N64's hardware. Is that what we're doing? Are we doing a hardware tier list? I like the fact that you can't see where people is. The maze-like structure is quite unique. The egg at the end is slippery enough. Well, I think it's a B. I think it's a B. I think this is great. I don't get how many of you guys are putting this in S. I don't know. I was watching to see if I can see what you guys see, but I'm not seeing it. Okay, I'm definitely not seeing it. Moo Meadow, so we don't have to wait the music. But let's go back. I did skip one. Did I skip one? Where's DK's Jungle Park? No, I didn't skip it. This guy skipped it. Oh my, a Weebo. Oh my, a Weebo. Yeah, oh no, he didn't skip it. He just forgot to timestamp it. So it still says Bowser's Castle, even though in DK's Jungle Parkway. Is it controversial for me to say I like this track? Do I think it's insane? No. But I think it's good. I quite like it. There's also one weird gimmick which I don't think they've ever used in any Mario Kart game again. If you go off track, right, instead of punishing you by slowing down, people off screen just throw shit at you. Look, like he goes off screen for off track for a second. Bonk, he got bonked by something. Someone's like, stay on the track, motherfucker, stay on the track. The restless natives of the DK jungle. I don't know what the hell is roaming around these jungles, but it certainly is interesting. The cliff system is also working again, where like if you have enough speed, you can go up the cliff. You don't necessarily have to go all the way around. I quite like that as well. I think it's just a good track. Is anything crazy? No. I'll put it in. You know what? I think it's B. I like it. I like racing on it. Probably when you say that's a controversial opinion, you probably think about the music, which I'm already just gonna put over here because there's no point me reviewing it. But the racetrack, I think it's good. But for completeness sake, that's how I feel listening to the music. Am I right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, was DK Jungle Parkway. Let's swiftly move on to the Banshee Boredwalk. Is this going to be another controversial one? Now, I don't want to mention your tier list just yet, but I'm looking at the thread. There's one thing you might notice, gamers. Clown emoji, L emojis, L reactions. Onyxify was not happy with people ranking Banshee Boredwalk low. They were just incensed with the idea of people hating this track. How nice of them to boost my server. But if you're telling me this is your goat? It's not atrocious, but what am I supposed to take away from Banshee Boredwalk? The track is too wide, so it does away with the theme of like making the tracks more compact, is a difficulty factor. There's no interesting gimmicks. It's just boring to look at. The background's just black. The boos are just there for aesthetic.
You're just a big, sad, alcoholic bore.
And then the music, oh lord. Oh, I'm not listening to this track, by the way. I'm waiting for someone to defend. There's 68 of you in here. Who is going to come up as the Banshee defender? Who's going to do it? Is anyone? You know, I think Finley's got the last word, really. I think then he took the last word right out of my mouth. I don't think anyone's going to cry and shit their pants if I just leave this here and call it a day, right? And then, ladies and gentlemen, we get on to the final track of the game, Rainbow Road. Now, if you just had one track in the game to make a bit bull-crunchingly hard and get away with it, it's Rainbow Road. One thing that Rainbow Roads have proved over the years is that you don't necessarily have to be hard, but you can be an experience. This version's contemporary is done in Mario Kart 8. I think Mario Kart 8's rendition of N64 Rainbow Road is thematically one of the best Rainbow Roads we've ever had. It's not difficult, but I think it does a really good job. The train, the fireworks, the city lights beneath the stage, it's very, very good. Now, if you can believe it, games, I know no one's going to believe me. No one's going to believe me. I promise you guys, I promise you so hard. When Mario Kart 8 first came out, I remember this as night and day. I remember seeing people complaining so hard. How dare they make this track one lap? in 8 Deluxe. How dare they? How dare this should have been 3 laps. Not hashtag not my N64 Rainbow Road. By making it 1 lap, they've saved this Rainbow Road from the bowels of hell in which it once belonged. Because this track is easily the most boring track to exist in the entire Mario Kart series. I say that without a shadow of a doubt. For the status that a Rainbow Road is supposed to have, this is disappointing on every single level. It's not difficult, hence the guardrails, so even staying on the track is a piece of piss. I've heard of the game Desert Bus, where you just drive a bus like down a highway. There's nothing to press except going forward. There's a gimmick in that game where if you just hold the controller just to drive and don't press anything, the car slowly veers to the left, which will make your car crash and you have to restart the whole game again. The chain jumps exist in this game to make sure that you're still awake, because Lord knows you're going to fall asleep if you play this track. It is a disappointment, and I've never been more upset about playing a Rainbow Road in my life. I genuinely have not. I have nothing but horrible things to say about this track, and 8 Deluxe, or 8 should I say specifically, has saved this track and honestly giving it the best makeover any track has ever gotten in the entire series, honestly. I don't even think an F tier is possible for this track. I think it belongs in F-. I really like being able to argue with chat. I think it's one of my favorite things about doing these kinds of streams. It's one of my favorite things about doing these kinds of videos. I love seeing other people's perspectives. I love seeing other people's opinions. But there genuinely is, unironically and objectively, one correct opinion when it comes to this track, which is, as someone said in the chat, it is an endurance test, not a track. For a game that so many people have said is so nostalgic to them, it's a shame that this game ended with a whimper instead of a bang. And that is all I have to say about Rainbow Road. The music, though. For a track so utterly atrocious, it's something, isn't it? It's Rainbow Road, it's where you go to die. Rainbow Road, I'll see you again. It's Rainbow Road, it's where you go to die. It's Rainbow Road, I'll miss you again. Kenta Nagata, the composer of this game, single-handedly saved this track from being objectively terrible, with a fantastic rendition of Rainbow Road that has been referenced and constantly referenced to this very day. But look at your tier lists, shall we, guys? I wanted to get the nice one out of the way first, because look at him, he says, Mario 64 was either the first or second game I ever played, so even though I didn't play a whole lot growing up, I still have a massive nostalgia for its courses and the music. All of these placements are real and true. Put any of these courses that high in the context of the series. I'd put all of these tracks except Jungle Parkway music-wise in S if I could. But to be fair, as someone who's nostalgia rose-tinted as hell, you did put Rainbow Road rightfully where it belongs. So I'm glad you have all these memories. Let's get mean with it, chat. Let's get really nice and mean. Yes! Let's go to Kerbo. These 3 tracks in S tier, even relative to this game, I don't think they belong that high up. But yeah, Nixify, the person who was really upset with anyone saying Banshee was not it. Banshee Boardwalk is in the top, well, there's no S tiers, but in the top of A tier. Let's hear it. Banshee Boardwalk is so awesome. Any buffoon that hates Goatshy Goat Walk has got to cope. Are we coping? Bowser Castle, I can see it. But then you got Mcfrappe Snowland in good. Okay. I don't know, Nixify. I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know. You might be a server booster. Your takes are pretty wild with a capital H at the beginning. Banshee Boardwalk? Badshee Boardwalk? What was it? Shitsy Boardwalk? These slander names are coming out in full force. This is Racetrack. I am not the gamer. He's in chat here. So it's on the S tier. Whoa! Okay. S tier. Sherbet Land. I hope you called Saul, Mr. Gamer, because I'm calling a gamer alert. Please report to the living room to have your opinion dissected. You've got a lot of explaining to do, so get started whenever you're ready.
I mean, you didn't even look at my entire tier list. So.
I don't have to. I just saw Sherbet Land is in S tier, and I dragged you straight in, to be honest. So
okay,
just explain that to start with, and then we'll see if there's anything more.
First off, any S tier track in this game wouldn't go above B tier when rating the entire series.
Right, yeah.
But I think it has enough going on with like the little turns that you can skip over, and like if you fail, you fall off, and the penguins.
But in S tier though, like the jumps, fair. The penguins, I even said the penguins are in the cave at least. I think they make for a very compelling sort of risk reward thing. The jumps, I'll give that to you, but is that enough to take as an S?
I don't know. I grew up with Mario Kart Wii. I was kind of biased.
The Mario Kart Wii roasting is a bit too much. That's all I got to say to that, honestly. I think I'll leave it there. Is there a take you want to leave for the chat to yell at for a bit?
Kalimari Desert is like the worst track ever made in the entire series.
The coldest take I've ever seen, but we agree nonetheless. Have a good one. Have a good one, man. Trash this. Here's my tier list for both track and music, just to see which ones I added little doodles. Oh my god, little doodles. He put little. I love it when you guys add little doodles. What about the other one? Oh, it looks so cute. Oh my god. Parkway is the best track in the game, along with Banshee Boredwalk. Lord have mercy on my soul. No, you did this. This is a psyop. This is a fed. There's a fed in my chat who's designed to piss me off. You've got Wario Stadium, Rainbow Road, Banshee Boardwalk, and DK's Jungle Parkway. All way too high. Way too high. What is happening? This is a psyop. You know, if there's like one thing I think is wrong, I'll be like, you know, come on in, we'll debate it. There's too much going on here. I don't even want. This is fake. It's a fake tier list. I'm being honest, 100% no cap. I'm guessing what you're Travis in here. Travis, my man. You have committed crimes against nature, and I have issued a gamer alert. Please report to the living room, so I may dissect your tier list surgically into it. Where do I even begin? You know, I'll begin with the hottest one of all I see there. Rainbow Road is in your A tier. I just want to clarify, you did doodle that little cute bomb there, which is a very nice doodle, which indicates you mean Racetrack. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, correct.
The floor is yours. Begin.
I honestly think it's okay in my opinion. Like, the turns are like completely wide, but I don't know, something about like going through the track is just like something like kind of makes you feel magical, if that makes sense.
Better than the likes of Yoshi Valley, especially. That is weird that that's that low.
I just get confused with Yoshi Valley, to be honest. It's like all the turns and like where the fuck are you at? It's just like I'm not really a big fan of it.
So a nice straight track with guardrails is up your alley, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you've played 8, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I have.
So what do you think about the 8 Deluxe rendition?
Honestly, I think it's better compared to the original N64 one, because it's like it looks fucking incredible. Everything about it is just amazing. The one thing that I hate about it is just like it's one lap.
So,
and it's like,
you're one of the people. It was really you're one of those people. Oh my god! I met one of those people. It's you. You're one of those people I saw. I thought it was a fever dream. Oh my god! Oh my god!
One of those people, but hear me out.
Okay. Please.
I'm not making.
Okay, you can talk, but I'm just saying that I'm like 70% sure you're trolling me right now. But carry on anyway.
I am not trolling you. I am really not trolling you. Okay.
Explain, God.
I just wish it was like 2 laps instead of 3. Okay, that's all I'm asking. Because it's like 1 lap is too short. Otherwise, 3 laps is just like way too long. If you have like a decent middle of like 2 laps, that's all good with me. I'm all good with that. Like what they did with Wario's Coliseum on GameCube.
Just so you can help me understand. So like, what gameplay do you usually put on the side when you're playing this track? Do you put Subway Surfers or like Temple Run?
I mean, okay.
Okay, I'm being a dick. I'm sorry.
That's a question. Because I've never played any of those games in my life.
I'm being a dick. I was on purpose. But I just, for me, this just feels way too much like an endurance race. I feel like even if, with the length of this track, if there was no guardrails, I feel like even that would make it more compelling, because at least you still have to stay on the track. But there's not, it's just like, there's a chain jump every now and again, just to make sure you're not falling asleep. So like, I know the music's nice, but like, high 80 is like a really big shout, Travis.
I know it is, but it's just, I just like it, man. It's just one of my, I just think it's cool. It is my tier list.
It is. There is no accounting for taste, as they say, but Lord have mercy.
You want to know my all-time favorite track, to be honest? You want to know my all-time favorite
Sure, go for it.
Dragon Driftway.
Okay, I think we'll leave it at that, Travis. I think I'd ask you for a hot take to leave the chat with, but I think you've spiced up enough, honestly.
Are you serious?
I think you have, if I'm being honest. But if you want to leave the chat with anything else, please, by all means, do so.
Subscribe to Sherbet.
Thank you so much. You're far too nice. Thank you so much. But Travis, it's been lovely talking to you. You're a funny fella. Have a good one, man.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Peace out. Thoughts. If I was to give my final thoughts on Mario Kart 64. Having played it for the first time in 2023, it definitely feels like a relic of its day. Nostalgic memories to millions perhaps, but definitely not worth revisiting unless you want to jostle with the controls half the time. It paved the way for the rest of the games in the series, and I'm glad I gave it its fair shake. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like before you go. Comment down below what you think, and until next time, there you go.